talking about Event 201 at Johns Hopkins.
So again, in Event 201, you had Johns Hopkins University hosting the Bill Gates and some other CEOs were there. This is all about how we could recover economically from a coronavirus pandemic that would kill over 65 million people. And so, and then again, 2 months later, we saw the Wuhan outbreak. So were these guys just super prepared for something like that? I mean, right on time? And then, a couple months later, Mike Pompeo said at a press conference, Donald Trump was right here, he was asked a question about China. I don't remember what the correct question was, but Mike Pompeo said this: "We are in a live exercise right now." And Donald Trump said, right as he said that, Pompeo said that, Trump said, "You should have told us." I don't know what all that means. What does Mike Pompeo mean by we're in a live exercise? But
I don't know.
It had me guessing, like, is this part of the exercise? Is this a pandemic?
Oh, we've heard that before.
Now, Johns Hopkins University is the one putting out the fear porn death map, right? Got all these red hotspots where all the deaths are taking place. I saw Tony Robbins, a clip from him, the motivational guy.
Yeah,
the other day, where he was talking about how no more people died in 2020 than died in 2019, died in 2018, died in 2015. He goes, with a margin of about 15,000. He said, but what has drastically changed is the causes of death. Like influenza has gone down, heart disease has gone down, these other cancers have gone down, but what's gone up? We're just chalking everything up to COVID-19 to get these numbers up there so everybody can be afraid and they'll mask up and stay in and put. And there's got to be an agenda here, right? Is nobody suspicious about this?
Sure, you can be suspicious. I'm not going to infer anything, though. I don't have any information besides that.
Okay,
I'm not going to speculate because I don't know.
Is it not important enough to speculate?
Well, speculating only gets you so far. Unless you have actual data to support what you're saying, I don't have any place to go with it except just in my head. I mean, it's just imagination.
Right. Well, I mean, you can use your imagination. I mean, what would somebody want to do this for? I mean,
and then what would that get us, though? Like, what are we going to do about it? That's my question.
No, that's my question. Like every day when I wake up, what am I going to do about this? What am I going to do to dodge this bullet? Because it's coming.
What have you done, or how are you preparing for it? Maybe you don't want to say. We'll move on then.
Well, I mean, I don't like using words like hopeless, but what power do we have? I say we should stand up for our rights. We have individual freedom. We have the right to refuse somebody putting something dangerous in our bodies that we don't want.
I mean, you do have that right. Nobody's forcing anybody to take that shot.
Not yet.
Not yet. We do take vaccines. Our children do. To go to school.
I mean, those things are there to protect other people also. I mean, you're kind of, we know about those diseases, they are out there. And
okay, but the Johns Hopkins, okay, so if you go by their numbers, World Health, CDC, they're saying that the likeliness that you or I will catch coronavirus, be infected with it, and it kill us is very unlikely. Mm-hmm. And the rate we will survive it is like 99.97. That's based on our immune system's ability to fight it off. So, but they're saying now the Pfizer vaccine.
Assuming we're healthy.
Yeah, assuming, yeah, okay, I'm saying us.
Because America's not very healthy. Pretty unhealthy, actually.
I mean, that's why it's hurting us so much. That's why we're number one in debt. I mean, that's just the fact.
Okay, but that factor is based on the Johns Hopkins numbers, right? That these are the deaths that are being recorded. But listen to the rhetoric from the coronavirus task force. These people are telling you that if you test positive for COVID and then you die within a certain amount of time, that's a COVID death. Mm. Even if you die from a totally unrelated cause, but you tested positive before you died, that's a COVID death. So even if you died in a car accident, they use that for the example. Even if you died in a car accident, but you tested positive COVID before you died, that's a COVID death.
I mean, that's just categorizing it. And I gave this example to somebody I know. Let's say you have cancer and you are going to die, let's say in 6 months or 8 months or whatever. But you're going in a car and you get hit by an 18-wheeler and you die. Did you die of cancer or you died of an automobile accident?
Well, clearly you died as a result of the accident.
Okay, so it will be characterized as an accidental death, not cancer, even though cancer was going to kill that person. So the same way is the coronavirus. Maybe that person was going to die of something else, diabetes, heart disease, or whatever. But COVID-19, accelerated that. Yeah, that process.
Okay, so I know somebody who their wife's grandniece some months ago was riding a four-wheeler. She got flipped over, she broke her neck and died. 2-3 days later, they go to the hospital. He told me that he saw the death certificate and it said the cause of death was COVID-19. The same thing has happened with two of my friends' dads. One of my girlfriend's dad. This was just a couple weeks ago. He tested positive for COVID-19. 2 weeks later, he died. I mean,
It's falsifying a record.
I mean, that is.
Now-
I have nothing to say on that because I'm not signing the death certificate.
okay, I mean, I'm
I
saying-
didn't
But
see it either.
the doctor is either they have whoever was signing it. I mean, they had something to. That's the question you would have to ask. I mean, if the person died of a broken neck, why they?
Did they ask the doctor?
Yeah.
What did he say, or she?
no, they didn't get to engage about that because of coronavirus.
Email, text, anything?
I mean, I didn't ask to follow up with it because it's kind of
Did she have a
sensitive.
lot of health? Life insurance.
AJ.
Okay, I guess my point is
Yeah.
that
If she has a huge life insurance, maybe life insurance company had something to do with it. Say it characterizes COVID-19.
okay, but still, this is probably happening on a large scale all over the country, right? So these death certificates are actually labeled where you can classify it as coronavirus death.
I mean, there's a possibility of anything.
It's still speculation. I haven't seen numbers on that.
These are the numbers that they're giving us.
No, the ones that are doing what you're saying. I haven't seen those numbers yet. I mean, I can't just go on speculation, inference. I need to see something else. Like, I don't know what else to tell you.
If
But
we
it's-
can, okay, so
you could extrapolate out, but how accurate is that? I don't know. Like
okay,
one or two cases.
this is one of the doctors from the coronavirus task force was making the statements that I'm making now about this is how we categorize coronavirus deaths. If you test positive and then you die within a certain amount of time, that's a coronavirus death. But come on, we know that they didn't die from the coronavirus. How do you die from the coronavirus? Do you guys know how that happens?
Flu-like symptoms, pneumonia.
Can't
Sometimes it's
breathe.
your heart. Yeah. There's too many symptoms.
Well, I mean, okay, but how does it kill you?
I thought pneumonia was one of them.
So pneumonia.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so
Either it triggers it or whatever. reason.
It triggers other things. If you have other diseases, then it, accelerate those processes.
the coronavirus does all that?
It's a mixed bag.
It's a very nasty virus. I don't know. I'm not a researcher.
I mean,
Your
no,
friend had
you
it,
don't,
right?
you don't have to be a researcher. You know that when you get to, well, if your job is like my job, we have to answer some health screening questions when we get to work. We have to take a temperature. So if you have shortness of breath or you have a high temperature, well, there's a couple of things right there.
Sure.
And loss of taste and smell is some of the symptoms. And we know that when somebody has a compromised immune system, they get coronavirus, they die because their lungs fill up with so much fluid that it can't be drained out, and they die. Because okay, so how much is that taking place? How many deaths we have attributed to that right there? I mean, I don't know those numbers, but what I'm saying is, this is fake news. If they're counting every single person who dies, they tested positive and then they die within a certain amount of time frame, whether it be upper respiratory illness or car accident. What happens then is these numbers get added up on that Johns Hopkins fear-porn death map, and it scares people. They get afraid and they go, "These are all the people that are dying from COVID." Well, these numbers are inaccurate and they're inflated because of what they're in Collin County. Now, this is a couple months ago. Collin County, they air their stuff just like this. You can watch their little Collin County city county meetings, and they just got their most recent information from the CDC involving how you count COVID-19 cases. And there's three metrics. Okay, there's positive cases, and now that's one metric. Now that person that's positive potentially came into contact with 16 other people. That's the second metric. So you have 1 plus 16, and say actual cases you report 17. So every day now, fellas, when we hear Collin County has 400 new cases of COVID-19, well, now the Dallas County has this many more cases of COVID. They're calculating it based on these numbers right here. So maybe there were 15 people that tested positive. And even those right there at the testing, I know people who went and got tested, and the nurses there told them before they left, okay, we're going to go ahead and check you out as positive. And right away, my friends freak out like, wait, why do that? Well, just we want you to treat yourself like you're positive. So go home, don't go to work. Just go isolate yourself until you get your results come back. Because they're thinking that they had to take a test for some reason. They might have been suspicious or whatever. So everybody's positive off the bat.
So do they change those numbers afterwards?
I don't know. But if they're counting them all as positive,
So
surely
why
this
do you think they're doing that? I mean, what is the
Control.
reason?
well, okay,
Reason.
well, let's follow these thoughts through then. What could be the result of inflating these numbers and increasing the death count and always telling people, putting it on the screen right there, more fear, more control, more isolation. People get afraid. They don't want to leave their houses. They think if you're not wearing a mask, you're making them kill everybody. This is hysteria. It's hysteria. And besides, if you can create this pandemic that's not even really that dangerous. I mean, from the very beginning, some doctors would, not just PhDs in front of the name, but like multiple accolades. These guys are the expert in their fields and various whatever form of medicine they practice, came forward. There was 10 of them, there were 12 of them. They said that one of the problems here is if nobody would have said COVID-19, then probably at the end of 2020, some doctor somewhere might have noticed, hey, we had a little small increase in influenza this year. Other than that, it would have went unnoticed. But because of the hype, the more, he said, one other doctor said, the more testing you do, the more positive cases you're going to find.
That's what Trump said. That's what he said.
The guy who created the PCR test, which is the test that they mainly use, the reverse polymer test, he said this is not designed to diagnose any specific illness. It's being used incorrectly. And in the CDC's information, this is on it's on our government websites. The CDC page, it says that the PCR test will even detect a common cold as COVID-19. So I just named a few examples where these numbers are being inflated and they're being altered. And
I mean, what would be the reason, though? I mean, that is
okay, I'll tell you what. I know I didn't answer that. Let me address that, AJ. When you can put these numbers up there, these are all the people that died of COVID. Well, now you can create a policy based on those numbers. You know what I mean? You can say, well, because of the other people, we had to lock down. Well, we locked down, and people still got sick. At this point, we've had positive cases.
Why would they want to lock it down? I mean, why would they want to shut the economy down?
Say you're a politician. You've tasted a little bit of that power. Respect my authority. Don't be leaving your house. Only I can do that. All this hypocrisy taking place when it comes to some of these governors, right? Telling us we got to stay in our houses, but then they're out eating with the very people that they're making the policy with, nobody wearing masks. It's crazy. So,
yeah, but these people are supported by businesses, so why would they want to kill the same? I mean,
okay, well,
they're golden goose. Why would they want to kill
American
it?
Airlines.
Yeah.
their businesses aren't having to close. I mean, where I work, my business isn't closed. I work at a major place, though. It's not like a mom and pop shop. It's not like you're.
Are you an essential worker?
Absolutely. So far.
I mean, yours is not, but the major entertainment and hospitality is
Airlines,
devastated. Yeah,
Devastated. Yeah.
I mean that's
Major
but
donors.
that's
the
almost
COVID,
25% of the economy.
the COVID relief package went toward some of these airlines.
Some of them. They're still
one?
struggling.
I mean, I just don't get why would they want to do that. I mean, you have to ask that question. If you think there's an agenda, then you have to find out, okay, what is the benefit of that agenda?
Okay, you're right. We do have to ask that. But
Yeah.
before, and don't get me wrong, that is important. Why would they want to do that? That's always important. But before that, we have to ask: is it happening? Is this taking place?
Well, yeah, I mean, we know it's happening.
No, is what he's talking about happening? Are they falsifying the numbers? Right.
And this is what's the problem with bringing like new information to somebody that they're not, it goes against their existing paradigm or it goes against the mainstream narrative, right? Somebody tries to tell you, hey man, I don't think 9/11 was what they said it was. Now these people are not going to want to admit that it's not what they said it was because now I have to change my whole paradigm. I have to admit that George W. Bush is not a Christian, and he's, you know what I mean?
It's easy for me.
He wasn't really praying or whatever. So.
I really didn't care if you prayed or not.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's irrelevant.
You know, government's not my best friend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bill Gates is not looking out for the best interests of any of us.
I mean,
okay, so yeah, so before we say again, but why is important. But before we get to why, we have to ask: is it happening? Is this happening? the way they say it is. There are all these people dying from COVID-19. I mean, again, we've seen positive cases from LA all the way to New York and everywhere in between. At this point, we've either all have it or we all come in contact with it, or we should stop hiding from it. Stop masking up and hiding from it. My immune system works best when I come in contact with germs. You ever seen a baby playing on the floor? It puts everything in its mouth. That's how it builds its immune system. It gets all these germs and deals with them.
Try
right?
with Ebola. Good luck.
Okay. Nobody masked up for Ebola. That was pretty scary,
They
right?
did mask up for Ebola. They suited up for Ebola. Remember that?
I mean, Ebola was accepted as a disease and was dealt with
Seriously.
pretty, yeah.
Here,
Here, I mean, if you would have same type of operation at that time, it could have been controlled. New Zealand
I was in New
has
Zealand, Taiwan. They,
Yeah.
they took it seriously. They
They took
masked
it-
up for a while. Now they're okay.
they have 0 cases.
Americans aren't like that, though. Americans are, like you say, individualist. They want liberty, freedom. They don't want to be masked up. Very stubborn people. That's a good or a bad thing, however you look at it. But
Well,
countries
I-
that took it seriously.
This is
didn't.
how I look at it. Taking it seriously, I think when given the right information and being able to make decisions on that true information, we will a lot of times we'll make the good decision. But Americans we should have a pretty good BS meter at this point.
We don't.
Yeah, we don't.
We don't at
right.
all. I mean, the last 4 years taught me that. Trump.
Well, the last 4 years has got mine on. It's on hype all the time now. And every time I get some new information, I'm trying to figure out. I'm skeptical of everything now. I'm like George Carlin. I don't believe anything the government tells me.
Yeah, George Carlin. Rest in peace. We miss him too.
That guy was ahead of his time.
I know he was.
And you know, if we just listen to him, we go, "Wow, that shit was going on back then too."
That atheist, I don't think so. Just messing with you. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so we'd be talking about a worldwide conspiracy then. Every country's reporting COVID cases. Are they all in collusion?
Well, they're reporting with COVID cases because the the reverse polymer test is giving them that result. It's not saying you are or are not positive for COVID-19. It's saying that you have these antibodies that your body uses to fight off these types of respiratory infections.
So if you know that, do they not know that? Does Canada not know that, or Taiwan, or New Zealand, Europe? They don't understand that? You're the only person?
Me, I'm not the
I
only
mean,
person.
so are you saying they're ignoring it then? They know what you know, but they're ignoring it. Is that what you're saying?
Well, look, if you're in a position of power, if you're whatever, you're governor of some local municipality, you've tasted this power now. You can lock people down.
Okay, here's my question. New Zealand did that. They locked down. They wore masks. Now it's over. So what do they gain from that? You can look it up on them if you want to.
What do you mean it's over? What do you mean it's over?
They've stopped. They've not locked down. They don't lock down the way they were. They're not wearing masks the way they were. So what do they gain from that? What do the government gain from having their people locked down?
And
They
whenever
didn't
they
gain more power.
do find a case, they quarantine right away.
Okay, the government, what they've done now is they've shown we can do this.
They could always do that. Nothing stopped them from doing that. I mean, what's going to, if they had said 2 years ago, we're all going to mask up, and they had a policy where if you go into a business, you mask up, who's going to stop them? It's a private enterprise. I mean, like if your company said you're going to wear a mask every day, what are you going to say to that? You're going to say no?
No, you're right, because at this point, my job could ask me to do pretty much anything. I
Yeah.
have to do it.
So you don't have to have a pandemic for that. They can do it whenever they want to.
Why would they want to, though?
Who knows, right? We could just spitball if we wanted to. We want to see how you look in a mask, right? We don't want to see your mouth
I mean,
anymore.
I guess
Who knows?
my job requires me to wear a mask because they don't want to be sued.
Sure. That's good. That's a good reason.
And they don't want people out of work for being sick. So as long as we're following protocols and wear masks, then nobody's going to have to be out based on contagion.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously true. But the only point is.
So
that
do
they
you
have
think
the-
that media has something to do with that?
Absolutely. They're the one putting the death numbers up there and feeding us that con 24/7.
We need to stop watching the news. Oh, I don't watch the news anyway.
I don't
So, I mean, if you don't follow the news or follow those numbers, you think the numbers will go down?
If I don't look at it, it's not there. Really?
Well, I think what he's saying is, if they don't have the audience,
Yeah.
they'll say, "Well, okay, it's not no one's following this stuff. Let's just stop doing it. Let's stop reporting on these fake
Yeah, I
news."
mean, it's not a ratings thing anymore, so they would say, okay, would they not report them as?
Okay, so here's something. Bill Gates is somebody who, on one hand, thinks the world's overpopulated, and on the other hand, he wants to save the entire world by vaccinating it.
Yeah,
This doesn't jive.
it does. It does jive. I mean, you can admit that it's overpopulated, but not want people to die of a pandemic. You might want to reduce births by, I don't know, using protection or whatever else means.
Abortion.
Abortion. They do that anyway, right? But it doesn't mean he wants them to die. It just means that we should curb the population growth, which that's already a thing. Americans are. Actually, I think we're not meeting the replacement rate, are we?
No, we're not.
We're behind.
That's okay. Many people come here. Like 1 million people come here a year. So
Even as those people are coming in,
even
we're
it's
not
enough.
keeping up.
It's not enough.
Yeah, we're,
wait, to keep up with what?
The replacement rate, people who die, and then replacing the ones who die. It's not enough. We're actually falling behind.
How many people is the right number?
2 point. What is it?
2.3, I think, is what we need.
What is the correct population total? That we
We're
need?
at right now 1.9.
Yeah.
No,
Oh.
I mean total numbers. How many
Yeah.
people do we need to sustain this place?
They're not looking at numbers. It's the actual rate itself.
That's dumb then.
Well-
No, think about it. The rate has nothing to do with the total population. That's what we need. Like, how many people does it take to sustain this country?
Oh, that could be. There's a range of numbers. Who knows?
I mean,
But we know
it
that-
was a different number 100 years ago than it is now. It's going
So
to be a
would you
different
guys-
number.
Would you guys agree that we are or are not overpopulated as a country, as a planet?
Oh, as a country, no, we're not for sure.
We're not overpopulated.
America's huge. It's almost mostly empty.
Right.
Yeah.
So we need more people here?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh.
No, that's what they're saying. I'm not saying that.
Who's they?
Sociologists.
They're good people.
They do what they do. But yeah, as far as worldwide goes,
I mean, to keep the economy going and
what we're
economic
looking at.
growth and everything, you need certain amount of people to replace the ones that are dying. So
or retiring.
Or retiring. So you're not, if you don't have enough people to replace those people to do the work,
I mean, look at Japan.
you're not going to have them.
They're in a lot of trouble.
Okay, so let me get back to what you were asking me a few minutes ago. Why would they want to do this?
Yeah.
Okay, well, look at the people who are being forced to close their businesses and stay at home. These are your people who have small businesses, right? And a lot of the times, these people are right down the road from a Walmart that's being able to operate. Like, why doesn't Walmart just give these people the secret about how to not let COVID in your doors? Because they seem to be operating just fine.
I mean, Walmart has a lot more resources than a small mom and pop.
Right, a lot
store.
more people come in there, a lot more spread of coronavirus. So why is mom and pop not allowed to wipe down their stuff too?
I don't know. And they think it's essential because it's food? Is that why?
Okay, it's essential for Walmart.
Yeah. Well,
I
people
mean-
have to have food.
Okay, just like the people who have the small businesses, this is their dreams, this is their future. If they're not allowed to have their business open right now, and then now, I haven't seen this happen on firsthand. I don't know anybody this has happened to, but I've seen this happen in California and lots of places in New York City where they weren't allowed to open their businesses. Like law enforcement was keeping people away and all kinds of civil penalties and stuff like that. Why is that right? Why can we stop these people from opening their businesses or going to work?
Well,
I mean,
We passed
I
laws.
am with you on that because
Yeah.
if they were going to ask them to close, they should provide support for them.
that was the whole point of the relief, right?
Yeah, that was the whole point.
Yeah, but the reef came too late and it was too little.
I mean, I am
Well,
with you on that. I mean, that's fine.
blame Republicans.
Yeah, I mean, if they would have,
They didn't want more money.
yeah, I mean, if they were going to ask them to close, then it should have been closed and provide whatever help financially, whatever help they needed, it should have been there. But if you're going to have it, one business open and the other one closed, that's not going to work. You should either open it up or close it.
Right, it's a slap
Everybody
in the face.
should be closed.
It's a slap in the face to the people who whatever they had to do to get their small business. And in the meantime, Amazon and Walmart get to just come up during this pandemic, right? You've heard that, right?
Oh, massive profits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. We've all heard it.
So is this a corporate takeover of the economy?
Corporate takeover. They've always controlled it.
It's always controlled. And I gave you an example earlier. How did you get 635?
It's always been there.
I mean, it's always been there.
Right, but up until now, there's been this free market where if you have an idea and you can afford to do it, you can have a business, right? And not have to work for the man or whatever.
It's another conversation about free markets.
I mean,
Are
that
they
is-
free or not? I don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Okay,
I see what you're saying.
semantics, but I mean, are we getting away from the times of the small businesses? And small businesses used to employ a lot of people, but based on regulation and stuff, they can't afford to do the same things that Walmart can afford to do. Supply people with health care and
And there goes the fourth branch of government. It's
yeah.
corporations. And we know. We've said it before, many times before. They have too much power. Outside
I mean,
influence.
personally, I want Walmart to go away.
Yeah, so do I. Or I want them taxed to
Yeah, I mean, they
an
should be.
exorbitant amount.
I I mean, why should I support their profits? Subsidize them?
Yeah, many of the people are on welfare,
Yeah.
and that comes from taxpayer money. Which is,
I mean,
you
if
need
their
it, it's fine,
employees
but-
go on welfare, we should take 100% of that welfare that's given to them from Walmart.
Yeah.
Siphon
We're
it out.
pretty extreme on taxes for the
Yeah.
corporation, so
I worked for Walmart years
Yeah.
ago, and when I did, that poster that has to hang up in every break room in every business everywhere. Well, connected to that poster was one. It's at Walmart, and it said that if you cannot afford, Walmart says you should. Here's the number to go get some
So,
government help.
I mean, that, and
There you
that I didn't hear that first time. I mean, that's
I've never heard that.
McDonald's has that. All the fast food restaurants, they have those posters, and we are subsidizing their profits.
And after I got hired at Walmart, I was the last person, the very last in that store, to be hired as a full-time employee.
that
After
right?
that, everybody else was hired part-time.
Look at that. Yeah.
I mean, so
And then
Well, the bill count.
at one point, you couldn't even get 1 minute of overtime, or you wound up in the office with the manager. Walmart can't afford my paycheck, right? My paycheck is stolen out of electronics every day, right? But you can't afford my little 1 minute anyway. But
Yeah, no, we're on board. We in agreement on that. We have been for a long time.
I mean, there's no disagreement there.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what it is.
So-
They have way too much power,
yeah.
too much influence. The lobbyists are sharks, so we want to get money out of politics if we can. That's one way to get a little more transparency. It's an uphill battle.
well, yeah, especially when you can scare the public into giving up some of more of their rights.
I mean, it happened with 9/11 also. Remember
Yeah.
Patriot Act?
Oh yeah,
That was a big one.
yeah,
Ooh.
that was written
Now,
before.
that was what you're talking about. That was massive.
Yeah.
Nothing's happening here. You're wearing a mask or whatever, but the Patriot Act, they have unparalleled access to everything you do
Yeah.
and see and read, and that is massive. And there was no protest.
And there was no
Well, yeah,
protest.
it happened.
well,
yeah.
because people were scared, right?
Scared of Muslims.
Terrorists. Yeah. This terror. I mean, we got to let TSA look at my
And
baby's
we
diaper.
may
for
get
Al-Qaeda.
a Patriot Act 2.0
I know.
with this right thing.
Yeah.
And we're against it because it can be used, in different ways.
What about the NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act?
Well, that's part of the
Yeah.
Patriot Act also, isn't
I
it?
heard there's a new term the other day. Part of Homeland Security is the National Domestic. I don't know. It's a 4-letter acronym, right?
Oh, they love acronyms.
And so they've identified these people as DVEs, domestic violent extremists.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Jeez.
that's just a label, right?
Yeah, that's another label by people who create labels. They like labels.
And it's just like this broad brushing, crimes that are not crimes, right?
Who defines what a crime is?
Okay, I do. I'll tell you what. It's a crime. A crime, you have to have a victim.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's no victim, there's no crime. If I steal your property or I harm you or I threaten to harm you, then that makes you the victim. That makes me the victimizer.
Yeah.
But without that, you don't have a crime. So that's what the government does: is they make these laws against things that aren't even crimes, like having a plant. I possess too much of this plant, so I need to be separated from society. Wait a second. I mean,
Hey, we're with you there.
there's a demand for this plant.
There is. Well, that's why some states allow that plant, right? They allow you to have that plant and
And
reproduce that plant.
I'm not a big fan of the plant.
I mean,
I'm just saying I'm about freedom. I'm about liberty. And again, back to what I was saying earlier, this is what this country has found. The idea of this country, not necessarily everything we do regarding foreign policy, not necessarily every candidate. You know what I mean? We don't like or dislike anything about anybody. We don't like politicians, man. They're all liars. Why are they all liars though?
Get paid to lie. They tell you what you want to hear to get reelected, and whatever the case is, serve their donors.
Yeah.
We understand that, and that's why we.
I mean, that's
What
why
if we're burning?
we want freedom. We want ultimate freedom.
Whoa, anarchy?
Not anarchy, but the freedom for you to be able to go to any college you want, any doctor you want to be able to see.
You know,
I think there should be
the
like
basics.
there should be an opt out.
you should have a right to have a 2-week vacation. Doesn't matter where you work. You could be working for Walmart, or you could be working for McDonald's, or you could be working for a mom and pop store. You should get 2 weeks off.
Maternity leave would be nice for women.
Yeah.
Have babies. For that replacement rate.
You should be able to enjoy life, not be miserable.
Wage slaves.
Yeah.
Noam Chomsky.
Not like, what's his name, Fox News, said, if you need more money, get a second job.
Well, the minimum wage was meant to be a living
I mean,
wage.
if you want to work a second job, that's fine. I have no problem with that. But not have to. Not because you just trying to survive on basic stuff, just trying to pay your rent or, have a little bit or be able to go to a concert or something, something like that.
Like anymore, they say it takes two. It takes two people in the household with two incomes to be able to do everything that 50 years ago one person could do.
Yeah. I mean, my parents, my father worked. My mom stayed home.
So she was lazy?
Yeah, she was lazy to,
Typical.
she was obviously a socialist.
She wanted to be provided for her, right?
Well, the term homemaker is not something that it gets used very much anymore, but like back in my day, my mom was a homemaker. I mean, she also was a teacher, but not full-time.
And that's fine. Like, if that's your choice, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. I have no problem with that at all.
I don't have that luxury.
But if you want to work, you're able to work and make a living, and it's a living wage. So. That's an uphill battle.